What's the deal, my people? You know it is a Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you with another video. And we have all heard the iconic words of the man in yellow say, "This is my favorite part." And then we heard the full explanation of what those words mean.
It's always my favorite part. It's the part I wish could last forever. Would you like to know why? This is when they tear themselves apart.
But what do they truly mean for the show? What does it mean for the past? And why is this man's favorite part this part? That is what I'm going to break down in this video for you this day. Now, in order to actually understand what's going on in this situation and why this is his favorite part, I think we have to go back. How far back? Way back. Back to the point of Tabitha going up into the lighthouse. When we see Tabitha go up into the lighthouse, she passes many things. But one of the most important things she passes are these dates. Now, when we see these dates, we think that they are just periods that they had the town run on. Just periods that basically this starts the new cycle. But I believe it's a little bit more than that. It's not about just the cycles. It's about what happened during these dates. And I'm going to explain to you and expose to you everything that happened on these dates that all figure out and clue in on why this is this man's favorite part. Let's break it down. 1506, the Lisbon Massacre, the Easter Slaughter. Lisbon was suffering from drought and plague. During an Easter service at the church, a new Christian, a Jewish person forced to convert, expressed doubt about a miracle involving crucifixion. Ultimate authorities took up the crucifix and then ran through the streets, screaming for a holy purge. They promised that anyone who killed the heretics would have forgiven for their sins. For 3 days, a mob of sailors and locals slaughtered between 2,000 to 4,000 people. They didn't just kill them, they dragged them to the square to be burned alive on massive pyres. Historical records describe the mob as ripping babies from their mother's arm and throwing them into the flames. 1609, the starving time, Jamestown Colony. The Jamestown Colony was under siege by the Confederacy. They were trapped inside their fort, just like most of the people are trapped by the woods and from. Under George Percy, the social contract vanished. When food ran out, the civilized English settlers turned into predators. Forensic evidence from the 2012 Jane discovery proved that settlers were surgically cannibalizing their own dead. One man was famously executed for killing his pregnant wife and salting her remains later to eat. 1672, the lynching of the DeWitt brothers. The Dutch year of disaster. The people were terrified of invasion and looked for a scapegoat. An anonymous group of agitators who whipped the mob into a frenzy outside the prison where the DeWitt brothers were being. The mob dragged the brothers into the street. They shot them, then handed them over to the crowd. The mob literally tore them limb from limb. Accounts state that the people took fingers, ears, and internal organs as souvenirs, and some even cooked and ate parts of the brothers' liver while they were on the streets. 1752, the missing days and frontier blood. This is the year the British Empire switched to the new calendar, causing 11 days to vanish from history. It's the year of temporal displacement. Charles, a French Ottawa leader, led the raid on the trading post. After capturing a tribal chief, His men broiled and ate him in front of his own people. It was a ritualistic display of power meant to terrify the survivors into submission. 1773, the Powell Rivers Massacre. The opening of the Wilderness Road into Kentucky. A group of settlers, including a son of the famous Daniel Boone, was ambushed. This wasn't a quick death. The settlers were captured and tortured to death through slow mutilation. This event was so brutal, it halted westward expansion for years. It marks the woods of America as a place of ritualistic slaughter. 1864, the Sand Creek Massacre. The American Civil War is at its peak. Colonel John led 675 troops to attack a peaceful village of the Cheyennes. His men in raids and trophy-taking, cutting off body parts, including the organs of women and children, to display as ornaments on their hats and on the sides of their saddles. 1883, the Danville Riot, a coordinated political purge in Virginia. This was the ripping apart of the Democratic community. Neighbors who have lived side by side suddenly became executioners, hunting black citizens in the streets to reset the power structure through blood. 1931, the Harlan County War, Bloody Harlan. J.H. Blair, who turned the law into a private army for the coal companies. Neighbors were deputized to kill neighbors. It was a state of total distrust, where persons you saw at church was the same person sniping at you in the hills. It was a town that had completely turned on itself. 1978, the Jonestown Massacre. This is the ultimate betrayal. A father figure convinced 918 people to kill their own children and themselves. So if we take each massacre, we can see that each one of these dates mimics something that we have already seen in From. Let me break it down. 1506, Lisbon mimics the monster's persona. In 1506, the killers were neighbors and religious leaders who believed they were doing holy work. In From, the monsters wear the skin of the 1950s community, the nurses, the milkmen, and the mechanics. They mimic the appearance of morality just to commit the ultimate betrayal. 1609, Jamestown. This mimics the depletion of resources. Jamestown was a siege where the environment itself starved all the people, forcing them to eat their own. In the show, the town controls the food. By mimicking 1609, the entity is trying to push the residents to that same breaking point of cannibalism that we saw with Jane. 1672, the DeWitt Massacre mimics the kill style. The DeWitt brothers were pulled apart, surgically dismembered for a crowd to watch. This is why the monsters don't just kill for food, they mutilate and leave carcasses on display. They aren't predators, they are performing mob-like ritualistic executions. 1752 mimics the temporal displacement. This was the year that time itself was reset. The calendar was changed. This mimics the town's ability to pull people from different eras and trap them in a loop. In the old world, the new rules do not apply. 1864, Sand Creek. This mimics the soldiers taking trophies. This mimics the Civil War imagery that Jade sees, and the monsters play with internal organs. It proves the entity draws power from cruelty. 1883, Danville mimics the community purge. Danville was coordinated political purge for the specific group of people. This mimics the cycles of the town. Whenever a group gets too organized, the town creates a leak or a breach to purge the residents and start all over. 1931, Bloody Harlan mimics the authority trap. In Harlan, the sheriff was the killer, and from the entities mimic leadership. The mimics the voice of the father or a savior to lead the residents into a trap. It proves that the town, the law, is just another way to hunt you. And we have seen right now the man in yellow turn into somebody. 1978, Jonestown mimics the mass suicide choice. Jim Jones convinced his flock to choose death. This mimics Boyd just recently saying that, hey, if we're going to go out, we need to go out on our own terms. Now, he didn't convince anybody to off themselves, but we don't know if. Yet he brought that straight to the table. So when you see those lighthouse dates, you aren't looking at a timeline of the past. You're basically looking at an instruction manual for the monster. They aren't original. They're just copying the worst things human has ever done to each other. The man in yellow is a shapeshifter who has been practicing these massacres for 500 years. He may have been involved directly in each and every one of them. And now he's taking pieces of them and practicing them here in Fromville. So if this pattern does hold true, then we should see something else that would be similar to the time frame that they are at right now, right? That's what I believe. But you tell me what you think in the comment section. Was the man in yellow there for each and every one of them? Did he manipulate it so that each and every one of these massacres happen? Or is he just drawing from these massacres and inflicting those things on these people in this town? You let me know in the comments section. And if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and of course subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.
This is when they tear themselves apart.